Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live transmission. I'm having a little bit of an issue with Facebook. It's not allowing to go live in my Facebook page. So I will be taking care of that. If at some point it doesn't share it, I will be surely uploading it. So having said this, welcome again. And well, what brings me today with you, beautiful tribe, who is in resonance with the information, or at least most of the information that I share, is this big topic that has been very active in the media, which is Create Atlas. Yet another one, which is Swan, which officially was or originally was named C/2025 R2, and that later on was named as Swan because that's the name of the camera that captured in one of the observatories in YssaH, I think it is. And then it was way easier than pronouncing the whole C/2025 R2. So, and as we know, even though the way that these two interstellar objects have been named are related to something very technical, they are also pointing out to very important codes that we allow ourselves to go deeper into it, then we will see how the algorithms within this reality work, how this holographic field works through very specific patterns that translate later on. Well, those patterns are created by light, by pulses, light pulses, photons, later on translating into our awareness as letters, well, first numbers and then letters. But regardless of this, all of this orchestration creates very specific geometries. And this is what one of the things that 3i Atlas and Swan are creating, and therefore one of the maps that I translated and that I will be sharing with you in a bit. I will be also explaining what do those maps represent, and mainly why is it barely talked about the Swan object, why you can find barely any information in the media, and yet it has been officially accepted by the astronomical community, and well, to some extent because they have been very reserved in the way that they are approaching to what it is. As in the case of 3i Atlas, in the beginning, they were referring to Swan as a comet. way more potent than any other comet registered in the Earth's history. Except, and this is where the interesting part of this plot begins. And the thing is that they have registered that this Swan comet was, according to the measurements that they read, according its behavior and the level of erosion that it develops as it gets closer into the sun, which is minimal, and other kind of constants, they have thrown a date that this is a cyclic object, that its last appearance in the solar system, and furthermore into a closer proximity to Earth's orbit, was 22,445 years ago, which takes us to the Glacier Age, even before older Dryas, and younger Dryas, of course. So in the intro video for this live, I was talking about the correlation of the timing in between this Swan interstellar object that a lot of the members of the scientific community have chosen to name it again as a comet, even though its behavior is none at all, or has a lot of inconsistencies regarding to what we could normally consider as a comet. And before explaining why, I just want to point out about the timing, and in relation to the Boogosphere. The fact is, one, that all these events, all these objects are pointing out to us that a time window or a period of time that is way before the acknowledgement of the ancient civilizations. How we have ordered very specific ancient civilizations into a time frame, and that these objects are actually going even earlier than that. When we were talking about the Swan being correlated even to the period of the Glacier Age, that's something. So then again, why is this being kept from the media? Why is all the attention being drawn into the 3i Atlas? And there are many interests here that could be taken into a conflict of interests. And the thing is that when we mentioned this, like the last time where this interstellar object was transiting the Earth's or the solar system, was by the time of the Glacier Age, then it can rise a little bit of assumptions, regarding to everything that is happening now on Earth. And to that, in addition to that, now you're mentioning that there is this massive object that has thrown an electric, or let's say energetic measurement of 10,000 gigawatts, which is equivalent to the Earth's power grid. We're talking about the whole structure of the Earth's power grid is equivalent to the measurement that has been dictated or read according to very specific analysis that this Swan object has, even more than 3i Atlas, which has been tested, or the analysis has determined that it could be equivalent to 10 gigawatts, which is 10, let's say, power stations, massive power stations in Earth. So there is a dramatic difference, as well as in their behavior. Both are showing anomalies and inconsistencies to what could be correlated as a comet, definitely. Like day by day, we're listening how 3i Atlas is not only changing its speed, yet how it's changing of shape, how it's changing of color. that we have already left behind the theory of 3i Atlas being a comet, right? So now it's more about what kind of race is actually behind that interstellar object, as, or should I say, a spaceship. Is it a communion of different races? Is it a plot related to another type of agenda? All these theories that at some point come together and meeting with when we are reaching a higher truth, which is how I perceive it. We're facing a critical stage in human evolution. And we are invited to ask ourselves, what are we going to do about that? What are we doing about that? How could 3i Atlas mirror into my reality? How Swan mirror into my reality as two, again, interstellar objects, spaceships that are coming from different directions, opposite directions, as 3i Atlas has been detected coming from Sagittarius, whereas the Swan interstellar object or spaceship has been detected coming from Aquarius. And this, for instance, the Swan has been, it sounds beautiful, right? The Swan has been showing a 60 degrees behavior, like ecliptic behavior, and distance in relation to the sun, whereas the 3 Atlas has been more of a conductive linear trajectory, aligning two very specific planets as Mars, having already passed Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. And the interesting thing is that within a window of 10 days, these two bodies will be encountering behind what would be for us, our point of perception being on Earth, behind the sun. They will be meeting in that 10 days window frame just behind the sun and aligning without a coalescence, because this is also very important, because there has been also some information saying that there could be a collision in between these two objects. And as far as I'm concerned, according to my memories and based on the communication, the advanced communication that I have been having with these two objects, and mainly, let's say, with the beings behind those objects. And just to clarify, because as you know, I always like to see and to put all this information from a very solid rock foundations, scientifically and spiritually wise, because for me, this is how we get to actually move into the next stage of human evolution. So based on this, when I talk about advanced communication, I am taking into consideration that all of us, we are capable to transfer our consciousness to those objects. We are capable to actually connect with the consciousnesses that are behind those two objects. And this is also something very important, because we know that when there are big news, there are all type of opinions, all type of theories. And the important for me to, in order to remain the spirit or the core of the message pure, is to actually always take how that is influencing us, how the message is influencing us, how is the object itself influencing us, how could it be translated in our own universe. And that's the way, that's a very ethical and coherent way, that's how I see it, to actually keep the information as pure as possible and not falling into many theories that perhaps out of vogue could just be deferring and um, isolating you from your own intuition. So this is where the most important part, as far as how I experience it, would be. What could Three-Eye Atlas represent to you? What could Swan represent to you? So we have these two objects, one hidden and one seen. And by hidden, I mean because it has, like even Swan has also been referred as the phantom, um, the phantom, like some kind of bunker, shield, frontier. Why? Because the behavior that it has been showing, it's consistent to having, let's say, bursts of energy that are very much falling into a very specific pattern. By this, I mean they're not random. They're not being, they couldn't be related because, okay, now it entered a very specific electromagnetic field, or or there was an influence of another object that actually created an outburst coming from the Swan object. No, it is being periodical. It has a very specific intermittence that could almost be related to something as a geometrical pattern that it is generating, or based on a higher intelligence that it's actually driving this object. So having said this, now when it comes to the Three-Eye Atlas, it's a little bit different. When the Three-Eye Atlas, it has been like the speed decreasing and increasing, as I was saying, shape, color, and so forth. But in the case of the Swan, it has been more about this with bursts that it is emitting, and that have a very consistent pattern. Both of them showing that there is a higher form of intelligence guiding them. So now they will be encountering behind the sun, again, in relation to our perspective and our position in relation to the sun. So we know that the sun has been serving ever since as power source due to its high levels of plasma. Many spaceships have been detected coming out of the sun, which has also led us to know that there is a black hole inside the sun, not only due to this, that also due to like the readings that we can get due to its energy density field, due to the interaction of the surface, its surface, regarding to the hydrogen, regarding to the magnetohydrotones that are communing along with the rest of the inner field of the sun, and giving away the fact that it is emitting an electromagnetic field that is that the energy density of this electromagnetic field is transformed into gravitational fields, gravitational wave field that is consistent to the behavior of specifically of a black hole. And we can even measure now a bit of its size, the size of the black hole inside of the sun, which would be approximately the size of Mercury, the planet Mercury. And now that if we see like the way of the behavior of the sun regarding to its magnetic poles, which happens every 11 years, the inversion of its magnetic poles as a mirror to the Earth, because the Earth is also going through magnetic poles reversal. And then we could ask ourselves, is this consistent to bodies that have inside a black hole? Is the hollow Earth very much connected to the idea that there is a black hole in the Earth, inside of the Earth, and that the crystal lattice is possible, and that because there are also some people that refer at the Earth's core as this huge crystal. When we're talking about in quantum physics terms, we could relate this to a crystalline lattice, which is very much consistent, let's say liquid crystalline, that it would be a way of connecting actually the plasma behavior of the Earth's grid at the different layers and how it's interacting and actually generating stability within the whole frame of the Earth. Because again, and I'm kind of always bringing this into attention, the concept that was given to us about what a black hole is way distant of what it truly is. We have black holes in every proton in our body, in the molecular, submolecular structure of our water, of our body. Uh, every proton has a tiny black hole. That's how they keep connected, entangled to one another, that magnetic field that it's being generated. So it's impressive how when we truly understand and understand how our body functions, how the universe functions, it's even easier, it's simpler, way simpler to see that everything is a fractal. And why am I mentioning this part of the black hole and in the sun and in the earth, which again, the upcoming years, this will be scientifically and officially proven, because scientifically it's already getting there. As you know, I have remarkable and renowned friends that are quantum physicists and that are not very much strangers to this theory that actually I came up with, not as me saying that, but when I mentioned this to them, they were like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we agree. We have been reading this as well." So, having said this, this is the power that we all have when we connect to the space memory network. When we read beyond um, that field of distortion that keeps us away from actually seeing the simplicity of the universe, because sometimes we can get lost in that complexity. Because yes, the universe works in complex forms, like right now, okay, why would these two objects would interact, would meet, behind, like just when we cannot see, where we cannot see, just in that point that it's non-evident for us, non-visual for us. What can they possibly be doing? And a lot of the scientific community, um let me see, because there are comments. I just want to check. Hi everyone. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, feel free to mention whatever you feel like. Yeah, exactly. Like Juan is now saying, the 5,000 plus psychics see 5,000 different spaceships, and again, numbers, patterns, different readings, different perceptions. And throughout this area of Aquarius, and again, like the Swan is coming from Aquarius, if we move forward from what our linear perception sees, which is fixed or fixated truths, fixed truths that, or absolute truths that, because it is what I am receiving, then it is what it is. And then we are not able to go beyond those structures or those frames and find a point of communion in which we all see that event horizon and meet there, all of us meeting there. And I'm not saying, by the way, Juan, this is, happening to you. I'm just saying, like there are so many things that are being said about what the 3A Atlas is, which races are, like behind that. This is why I'm very reserved in like I just choose to share very specific things like in the media, so that it doesn't seem like I am framing it as one absolute truth, because that's not it. Actually, what I'm heading to right now is that when we're capable to meet beyond absolute truths and find the point in communion in throughout all those absolute truths, or truths which would no longer be absolute, then we see that we meet in that core of information. And that's the important thing. We meet one another in that core of information, which is the fact that this ship, a spaceship, is communicating with us, that there are many races involved, and that this is what I'm bringing into the field, that this information, but one of the codes that they are bringing through, which is a very important one, and very much consistent and cohesive to what we are being invited as a humanity to upgrade within our field, which is the molecular structure of water. Um, the micelles, now I'm going a little bit to the biology, just brushing there, because for instance, the micelles are the bodies, that's how they would call them, the first forms of cellular systems within the living form on Earth. And that's where we are coming from. And by micelles, it's hydronium form of bonding instead of water, which is the optimal state of water, which is talking about high levels of plasma coherence. And even though water cannot fully embody plasma itself, because in order to be plasma, it would represent already disengaging from the bonding in between the hydrogen and the oxygen. Therefore, it couldn't be any more H2O. So when we're talking about H3O2, hydronium, it's very much implicit in the fact that the molecules of hydrogen are non-localized. Breaking it down, imagine our water that is emitting so much coherence and playing as a superconductor of information due to the level of ionization that it's presenting, that we're capable to communicate with hydrogens at other realms, at other dimensions. And the more aware that we become of that, the more that we can actually choose to know which hydrogens are we connecting to at a quantum level, and bringing all that information from the space memory network. Why? Because our plasma field, our plasma body is highly active. It's said that 50% of our blood is plasma. Plasma as it is commonly known for now. However, if we break down into the different levels of plasma, what we can reach, we will see that all of our body, the most efficient forms in which our body communicates, it's at a cosmic level, it's through plasma coherence, and not the plasma like the one that we see in the sun. We can reach that level of luminescence, yes, but again, there are different scales. And this is the thing, when we encapsulate one truth, like, okay, no, plasma is just related to the sun, that level of plasma, then we are isolating ourselves to actually embody that level of illumination, you see. And we are capable, we see it again, I've repeated this many times in many of my videos. We see the monks creating their rainbow body, which is that electric charge collapse reached by the body, that within the interaction of your own electromagnetic field, you're creating this rainbow luminescence that is hitting the boundaries of your electromagnetic field, expanding consciousness, and then redirecting and creating this lotus flower. Because again, it's a fundamental pattern, it's one of the blueprints of creation, the lotus flower. So it starts to spin, and then your body goes through different, let's say, transformations. And the transgression of the body is how it's called in some of the religions. So, and I will be talking about this very profoundly at the Bridge Expo. Actually, I have novel information that I will be sharing about this plasma body and how it creates the cymatics the unique signature as the water has, yet we creating our own signature inherently through cymatics, which is a very specific and unique geometry that I have called our source code, yet brought into a way deeper level of technology than what I have been sharing so far. So this is very exciting because it's a unification of most of the things that I have been sharing put together and actually presenting it from a very spiritual and scientific approach. As these two, 3i Atlas and Swan meeting together at one point. So perhaps could 3i Atlas and Swan be representing these two poles, meeting and generating the singularity? Yeah, why not? Could they be representing two different agendas of different star systems, star beings, coming and charging fuel behind the sun? Yes. Could it be representing them coalescing or having, like an outburst in between them? Perhaps. The thing is that we are so powerful. I was just coming into awareness that there is a woman that every part of her biology shows double X chromosome except for her blood. And she's a woman and she's a unique case. So why I'm giving this example is because everything is possible. We're so powerful that we can go beyond the laws that have been settled and trying to be set in stone by some of the scientific communities or the old school, and that actually we're creating what the scientific community would call paradoxes or problems. We're creating all the time and solving them with probabilities that perhaps could have never even been taken into consideration. Why? Because we live in an infinite field of probabilities now. We had been repeating the same or very similar pattern throughout history. By this, I mean every specific cycles, the history repeats as a reset. Why? Is it because it's the only way? No. It's because we have feeding with our energy, with our own energy, the very same stream of information without taking into consideration, due to the amnesia, that we're capable to access to other timelines that have been weakened. Why? Because they have been really explored. Now, we can whether explore them through our state of awareness, like connecting with those timelines that we can bring to life and actually configure as the core timelines. An example, rising so much, we are there in that timeline, rising so much our level of consciousness that we don't need to go through very specific resets or reboots that, according to history, it has been archived that they have or we have in other bodies. We are now being invited to actually connect with those timelines that were like our DNA, silent genes, dormant genes that were considered junk ones, and that actually are the entrance, are the pulp of our DNA that we can just access. Okay, now I want to bring into reality or into my awareness or alive a new stream of information. I'm tired of repeating these cycles, within the same genetic codes being the active ones. Okay, and now I want to access to new information. Zoom. Okay, the introns within me being activated. How? Through very specific charge collapses, and just to mention one form, because yet it's one formula, but it's again black hole technology that is happening at a mesoscale, at a biological scale all the time. And this is how we actually get to activate our memories. Can we do that by will? Yes. By command? Yes. Because our body loves us. And it's eager for us to just pay attention to it and know how it functions. And this is like a huge collective wake-up call to see reality not from an, again, anchoredly engaged form or prototype of reality, in we just see part of the story. Like when I talk about reading or deciphering, decoding the artifacts, yeah, there is this very fundamental form of reading it, this very materialistic form of reading it. What if we go and read it at a holographic level? How could reading these events at a holographic level would represent? Okay, so we have these two encoded words, 3i Atlas, 3i Atlas, and also very much related to the active templates of water, which is one of the codes that they are bringing, and I will go in a bit there. And now we have also the Swan that is representing another code, very much. I'm trying to keep it simple, the simplest as possible, because then again, this is the way that the universe works. So when we have that code of the Swan and the 3i Atlas, the Swan being this magnificent being that is capable to go beyond the black spectrum of itself, which is the shadow, the aspect of the mind as the shadow or the ego, that is, let's say, just amnesia, just as fear, craving of information, which is life, energy, and that has been injected constantly just with the information that the simulation program has set up as a mindset. And when I say simulation, I just want to clarify the universe functions as we know so far in dimensions, densities. And addressing to each one of these dimensions is behavior, the specific behavior in which the universe expresses itself. When we talk about the holographic field, we're talking not only just that we are kept in this reality, which is a hologram, and once we go beyond this reality, there are no holograms. No, actually, the holographic field, and even more, the holofractal field or the holofractogramic field, which, yeah, they're very fancy terms in quantum physics, but they are addressing to a truth that is mainly that the universe works through fractals, works through one pattern, then amplifying or replicating at different scales. And now, in relation to this is why, okay, how would you see the Swan represents within your field? What is it representing? What is 3i representing in your life? Are they representing the feminine and the masculine forces encountering beyond the evidence, beyond what you can see with the common eyes, but what you can see with your third eye, and actually accessing to what the Swan is anchoring, as it has anchored 22,445 years ago, as something that is cyclic. Yet, is it a doomed prophecy? No. This kind of energies, again, as the Swan, again, as let's say Leviathan or Leviathan. I love to pronounce it in Latin as Leviathan. This is why sometimes you will listen to me not using the English pronunciation, because I love to keep like the core of the words into its original form of pronunciation or pronouncing them. So sometimes I fully get it. Sometimes I'm just playing that interesting part of using the different types of exquisite tongues. But anyway, so it's like it's even the same example of Leviathan or Leviathan, which is this chaotic force that has been tried to being restrained by religious figures, and the potential, like this representing the potential energy, which is the feminine, and the order and rule representing the masculine, where these two forces really don't get along with one another. Is this truly what we want to replicate again, really? Or we wanted to connect with other timelines where these two forces are actually making love to one another and creating this perfect and exquisite form of converging, of conversion, of torsioning reality, of transmuting themselves and creating a higher truth. For me, this is what we are being invited now to do. And to actually come into, again, activating with our own DNA those dormant codes that we will, as we activate them within, we will see them reflected in our reality. So tuning into my holographic body, where is the field of 3i Atlas pulsing? And then I scan myself. It can be different and unique in everyone. Why? Because your information, who you are, is truly unique. It's truly unique from the other. Even though we are, cosmic beings and we are part of Source, we deliver uniquely as every proton that connects with different hydrogens when they delocalize, or when they ionize, all these processes at a microcosmic level and at a macrocosmic level, each star is different. It has a different combustion. It has a different plasmic behavior. So do we. So where is stored, or your connection with 3i Atlas, with Swan? Where is it pulsing? Okay, so based on the part of your biology where it is pulsing, now what part of your genetic encoding is it leading to? Is it to your multidimensional being as an overall? Is it to very specific versions of yourself as Lyran, as a Emerthian, as someone from, let's say, Arcturus, Ophiuchus, Laniakea, which is even going to another galaxy, like accessing to the soul of the, well, it's in the same galaxy, but I'm talking like in another solar system, and even in the border of where two galaxies commune together. This is why it's also very much connected to being the soul of this of the galaxy, Laniakea, or even some people address to it as the soul of the whole universe. I don't know if the multiverse, but you know where I'm getting to. So perhaps it's ringing to you, hey, you have these codes, activate them. You have Lyran codes, activate them. You have from like Alpha Centauri codes, come on, activate them. Or it's very important, like if you are having more pulse of, let's say, Swan coming into your field and reading into all the details that it has been coming from Aquarius, individually speaking, what is it telling you? Now, collectively speaking, what is it telling us? That perhaps that shadow aspect of the mind that tells us that we are to embody each one our own truth, but not connecting through the heart, not being a heart truth, yet being merely mental, intellectual, without recognizing that pure aspect of the heart, of the intuition. And I must say that even the part intellectual aspect has been only married to the brain here, but it can only be being intellectual here. Why? Because we also have neurons here. So let's choose another word. when we are talking about absolute truths, then it would be mainly like, if it's mainly only related to the rational aspect of it, then we are differing from actually the high intelligence, because an intelligence and intellectual aspect is a very divine aspect. It has been driven to many rigors of just being of the rational and logistics, but it actually can connect with a very divine aspect of our form of discernment, high discernment. So, and communing all of our hemispheres in our body, the intellectual aspect, the emotional aspect, body, energetic body, and so forth. So, yeah, in relation to this, because again, like I told you guys, there was so much information to deliver regarding to this topic. So the sun, I'm going to drink some water. um, yeah, so if we see that Swan coming and now showing that perhaps it's a marker of a huge transformation on Earth as a planet. I'm not talking in consciousness terms. Like, yeah, we're going through a wave of a consciousness expansion. No, I'm talking about geodesic, let's say, geographic aspects of this transformation, more than geographic, geodesic transformations, due to how the magnetic poles on Earth will be reacting to this 10,000 gigawatts object that will be aligned to the sun, 10 days time window with 3i Atlas, and aligning both to the sun and to the Earth. How is that going to look like? There have been also other people talking about the 30th of October being this massively important day, energetically speaking. And yeah, I can see that happening, of course, if now lunar solar eclipses are influencing more and more our electromagnetic field. Why? Because we are more receptive to the plasma waves that are being emitted by the sun. Because again, when we're talking about these solar storms, solar flares, our biology is more sensitive to that. Why? Because as much as the disruption is being tried to being magnified through the technology, 5G, all the the interferential wave field that the technology create, amplified in a very negatively aspect of it, because not all the interferential wave field is negative. Actually, this is how the hologram comes to exist. But when it comes to putting all those anchors, very negative anchors that are diminishing our biology, like now in the last webinar that I gave with Emery Smith, which, by the way, if you want to watch, you can look at Cosmic Network Television in Rumble, which is Emery Smith channel, or you can also subscribe to his page and get the full webinar, because this is just the first webinar of 4 at least that we will be doing together. So as we were mentioning, he was showing through his technology, like when you put very specific high frequency technology, and in between the emission of energy that is brought by the Wi-Fi, which is in a range of creating cancer, then you will see, like, what kind of energies are they trying to anchor? This is not new. I was just giving the example of how powerful we can actually create this technology that can go beyond, and how the interferential wave field now that will be created, or that is influenced by, also the, yes, yes, yes. I will there are so many things that I want to share with you guys that I don't want to, like project all that information. I really am going to make several videos. As you know, next week I will be traveling to Dallas, because I will be doing my presentation there. As Join us in Dallas. As I told you, I'm going to expose like novel information that is going to hopefully nourish you, as it has nourished so many people and me myself at so many levels, and that it's a unification of many things that I have shared, and even more, bringing the technology. But anyway, I have expressed that. So I hope you join us in Dallas. It will be amazing. So now, just to summarize, as this video I will be doing after the trip to Dallas and to Mexico, I will be doing, or perhaps in the meantime, because this needs to be shared before the 30th of October. This part one, I just want to close now this video with the fact that these two objects will be aligning. I don't see this as a disruptive encounter at all. I just see as Swan being a cyclic marker that has been communing with the sun psychically the last time it did, again, 22,445 years ago. Is it coincident that it was by the glacier age? No, it's not a coincidence. Is it dramatically pointing out that something negative will happen? No. This is, again, our choice. We are so powerful that we can access to the timelines in which this Swan object, we are capable to see the wisdom that it is showing by what? Mastering our mind, mastering our shadow, and actually making it expand into this beautiful swan-like consciousness that emerges into enlightenment through what? Through the new or original templates of our molecular structure of water, which is the liquid crystalline, that will now be projected through the plasma coming from the sun. Like, we will have two forces coming from the solar flares now through the solar plasma. The one that will be imprinted by 3A Atlas, which is not only doing that, it is also reckoning information. It's very much related. It has been named as drone, a massive drone. But it definitely has that technology, and that will be calling in other so kind of drones that we could be relating to the Boogosphere, and other drones that will be now massively seen. It will be ranging a signal to activate many of the artifacts, like as the Boogosphere and other spheres that have been found more and more in different size, small ones all over Las Vegas. So was mentioning Emory, and in other places, parts in the world, Colombia, Mexico, name it, a lot of spheres. Yet that signaling, why not in between the time frame of the 17th to the 20th and beyond, because there are 10 days. This is why it's the 30th, because it will reach the maximum point around. So it will be massively signaling these artifacts, spheres, that perhaps will massively be communicating and making themselves being seen, allowing themselves being seen throughout that day. I'm just saying, I really try to keep myself as uh, just expressing from a very, very neutral point what is being shown to me. Again, there are many timelines that we're powerfully activating and deactivating. Yet, what I can tell you with full presence beyond this could be happening is that these spheres will be activated at a higher range. And the purpose of these spheres, overall, again, they are reckoning, like recording information and also imprinting in the field. What are they imprinting? Well, and this is very much related to um, galactic group that was very much present ever since founder-like. This is why all of this technology goes beyond the glacier age and also beyond the younger Dryas, because they are reckoning information from solar systems for planets, how are they developing, the do's and don'ts, and then they put all this information, they configure it, and then they send it through very specific spheres, that when they are interacting with the planet's grid, then they are scanning how the planet is, at what point of evolution it is. And also, like sending some tips. Okay, guys, you can do this. And then upgrading the grid. And the easiest way that actually we can receive this information, guess what? Through, and that we are inherently doing it, is through our holographic body. And let's go into a deeper level through our plasma body, which is the high transmission of our molecular structure of water, that if we restore it to its micellar state, which is, again, like its liquid crystalline state, then we are capable, micellular, for the micelles, as I was saying, the way that they were scientifically named. If we go to that liquid crystalline state, then we are coherently receiving those transmissions, those upgrades. What can we do to upgrade our body? Well, this is also one of the exciting things. I will be sharing more of this technology, along with, for instance, the one that Emery also mentioned, which is super powerful. You can actually access to that in his page, or the one that Rion, also super powerful, is offering, through Team Light store, and the ones that I will be mentioning soonly enough, in order to receive. Don't worry, it's not like it's only going to be on the 30th of October and that's it. No, this is progressively. This will be happening until 2027. I'm sorry if I'm speaking like super fast, but there is so much information that I'm trying to transmit that I'm trying to do it very neatly. So, and clearly. But anyway, so then this will be happening strongly until 2027, because then we will be having another astronomical event that will be super potent, which is an eclipse in Egypt, in Luxor. Why is it so important if there are so many eclipses going on throughout the year? It's due to, let's say that each eclipse, based on the region that it has a very specific code, it has a very specific intermittence, and it's empowering a underground plant, energetic plant, that will be bringing a lot of things into the surface. And we know that there are many things being decided through in the Arabic countries region, so that will be influencing it a lot. So we have decisive years, critical years, all the way to 2027 to empower our water plant, our water powerhouse, by upgrading it into a hydronium state, or let's say not hydronium, not to get distorted, because hydronium is just the component, the main component that is creating the ionization and liquid crystalline coherence. So upgrading our body, our water, into its liquid crystalline state, or exclusion zone, or fourth state of water, call it however you want to call it. I will be sharing a lot of technology that can actually help you to achieve this. And then we have until 2030 to actually have activated at a very high level our plasma body. By this, I mean being more glowing, literally speaking. Um, and then that will lead to a whole new beautiful stage in human evolution. This is just a marker. Remember, you can connect however you feel like with these two objects. There were some stream media that there would be like 7 comets happening, including the 3A Atlas. Again, how I'm seeing reality, they're just popping up and flaring up algorithms for us to take into attention, because again, we're playing numbers, we're playing algorithms, we're playing with geometries. If we see the knitted stage of the holographic field, we will see that Swan is just a code. It's an intermittence pulsing and connecting with a very specific part of our body, awakening very specific dormant uh, um, genes within us, as well as 3A Atlas. And what is going to happen now outwardly at a cosmic scale, again, we'll be behind the sun. There will be this huge, massive alignment. And as I said, and what I, from the bottom of my wholeness, share with you, bottom of my heart and wholeness, share with you, again, templates of water, upgrade of our water, our molecular structure of water into its liquid crystalline. And hi, gorgeous. And I'm almost finishing. I'm wrapping it up, yo. But we will meet soon enough there in Dallas. And now, again, in relation and regarding, I'm even getting hot here. Wow. And regarding to the Swan mind, defying and defining moment of holders of truth, whether if we commune with one higher truth or we keep stuck in absolute truths, because we are sovereign beings and we are super powerful, and you cannot engage my beliefs because I am. And all this new age distortion that is truly provoking more separation instead of generating communion and coming together. So that's where we go. Okay, so your truth, my truth, they kind of come together in this point. Okay, so now we're stronger. Okay, you go, come with us. And so, and creating and restoring the the templates of new earth. So this is for me this point that beyond, like, more than falling into patterns of fear, that what could be happening is actually embracing the wave tide and saying, okay, so this is wisdom. All of this that was considered as chaotic figures and the distortion feminine and like the primordial waters of chaos. Okay, so this is showing the potential energy, what we can become through this. Okay, so we embrace it with love, through wisdom, and by being coherent, we actually step up and use this energy as fuel, as the do's and don'ts, bring it in with responsibility and assuming and surrendering to our divine power, which is the power of divine manifestation and creation. One thing that was tried to being kept from us is time, and going even deeper is memory, information. We choose the information we can actually bring alive, as in our genes, in our genetics, like the epigenetics. We are capable to activate and deactivate our dormant genes, the same as in the timelines. So back and forward, back and forward. Let's bring that dormant timeline or spatiotemporal constant that was so asleep that we forgot that that could exist, where we all thrive, where we bring together new earth by honoring and restoring the original templates and going beyond the algorithm of a reset in order to honor the earth and emerge as this immensely powerful cosmic race that we are. So, having said this, just finalize with this live transmission. Um, these artifacts that have this very specific code, again, will be activating, and not only imagine that you have tons of plasma coming from the sun through solar waves, through solar storms, aurora borealis, therefore, like, and so forth. And that through the emission that these two objects will be anchoring by, yeah, they are charging fuel, they are connecting with the sun, but regardless what they are doing with the sun, whatever influences the sun will be influencing us. And mostly because the sun is going through very deep transformation, as the earth is. So more sensible, vulnerable in their fields, not weak. This is difference. Vulnerability is difference than weakness. Vulnerability is purity, is cohesive transmission, as how I perceive it. And now emitting all this or sending all this plasma emissions, and then not only influencing again our plasma field and enhancing our capability to harness our own plasma coherence, yet also activating these artifacts, and they will be not only signaling yet awakening to a higher technology, which is the scalar energy. They will be beaming differently. Test them. If you have artifacts, test them after October the 30th. They will be highly more energetic and emitting scalar energy, even if they're not like the ones that, like, for instance, Mike Forrest with his amazing research has shown about, these figures promoting scalar, like generating literally scalar energy. I'm also talking about, for instance, another beautiful and dear colleague, brother, Joshua Sizzler, talking about quantum properties, Sean as well, Greg Christie, like many people that is beautiful beings, powerful beings that are bringing out this information. Geo aliens, brother, love you. From this point of the heart, putting out all this information so that it reaches the collective, and so that we can all interact with the field, even if it's just looking at the picture. Believe me, I was just yesterday with my sister-in-law, and she watched one of the videos with the mask that I have, with the beautiful queen, ET queen, and the symbol that I decoded 7 years ago. And she was like, she's talking to me, she's moving her lips, and I'm feeling, like how it's opening my third eye. Yes, of course. And that will even happen more. So it's exciting. It's super, super exciting. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this transmission. I love you. And yeah, well, thank you for all your comments. And I just want to show this this code, which is important. Okay, share screen. There we go. Okay, so this is the code of Orion. Thank you so much. It was super important for me to mention before wrapping up. Orion is another invitation that we are getting to restore the version of Orion, or to connect with the version of Orion that comes from a ninth density, ninth level of consciousness. Why? Because Orion is super important for our evolution. Why? It's the gateway to Earth. Why? Because a lot of the pyramidal network was connecting to Orion. And even though the way that they would actually depict, even in the ancient artifacts, Orion is not as the Orion that we know, how we represent it today. The stellar formation that in which they show it has a variance. Well, how we will always distinguish it is through the three stars, which is the Orion's belt. That is always, like the point of detecting where Orion is being represented in ancient artifacts, templates, tablets, who's. And so here, and I must say, I translated this about 4 years ago or more, 5, when I was living in Egypt. And here we see the eye. You can ask that my beautiful friends, students, clients that I had shared this code with. It's 5 years ago, and based on Orion. And here we have the eye, we have the gateway, and here we have the cube, which represents the mind. And here we have this point of interaction and communing in between them both. And here we have the gateway that is actually opening up to a new mind, a new reality in which we all create this new template. I won't say more because I would love for each one to tune into it. I know that the technology of the codes bring unique messages to each one of us. So this is why I'm going to leave it there. And this is the solar water, the water sun code, which is precisely meaning the solar plasma codes coming and upgrading our molecular structure of water. And I translated this 7 years ago, as well as the omnivision keys. So remember, every time that you doubt in yourself, just remember that even if something that you are picking up or tuning into today, and perhaps it represents something to you, perhaps tomorrow it will represent something even higher or more powerful. So always trust in what you're receiving, believe in yourself, and hey, Beth, looking forward to seeing you soon again. Thank you. Thank you. Love you guys. And yeah, if you want to access to these codes, I will be sharing them in upcoming posts, just that you know. thank you for having patience. Right now, like putting together a lot of information and also the events that are coming now. Uh, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for occupying your place, your space in this co-creation. Remember, you're super important in this co-creation. Super important. Don't limit. Well, limit it if you choose to, but hopefully you won't limit your intervention, your participation, your action in this new earth. You're super powerful, and we are waiting for you. If you feel the calling, we are here, restoring the original templates of New Earth. Stay tuned for upcoming information events, and I hope to see you in Dallas. I hope to see you in our trip to Mexico, and I hope to see you in upcoming events throughout this year that remains next year. But anyway, until next time, I will continue sharing the part 2 of this information for whoever wants to connect with us while we are doing our trip in Mexico. We will be doing major configurations, and if you want to be part of them, you're more than invited. So stay tuned for that, and thank you so much. Until next time.